Well, today is August 28th. It's going to be a very interesting episode for everyone. So, we get to review ChocoPro 250. We once again have another exhibition match and a very interesting matchups taking place. And also, we have Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, which they hosted for a lot of women who are attending the show called Go Girl 3. I'm so excited to see what matches will take place. As you know, certain title matches will be taking place as soon as possible for their next big event. But also, we cannot forget night 2 of NWA 74, their biggest event ever. As you know, we have Trevor Murdoch defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Tyrus. Sion once again will defend the national championship again, but this time with Mayweather and plenty more. And of course, we got some news updates, but we want to share what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with ChocoPro 250. Opened up with an exhibition match. Once again, the trainee Mia faces off Mei Suruga. Now, the last two times these two have faced off each other, it always ends up with a 5-minute time limit draw. Now, some of you are saying, why is this so important? For the trainees, we need to know how much have they learned before we get to see them be in the much bigger match, much of the experienced matches we've seen. Now, Mei Suruga knows that because she was trained under Emi Sakura, but this time it was in fact Mei Suruga who picked up the victory with a roll up. But of course, Mia actually decided to go a little overboard, but they managed to control her in time. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We got Sayaka Obihiro teaming up with what's his name? With Hagane Shino taking on Yuna Mizumori and Masahiro Takanashi. Now, this particular match, it was very interesting, as you know, very good moment. But however, it was in fact Yuna Mizumori who picked up the victory with the Superman jump onto Sayaka Obihiro, giving her the win. Next match, we got a very interesting dynamic match. Now, we have Antonio Honda teaming up with John Chidu taking on their partners. We got Tokiko Kihara and Saruri. Now, those who do know, Tokiko always teams up with Antonio Honda. Saruri always teams up with John Chidu. So now we're gonna see. Okay, the guys will be in their team, while the girls, their tag partners, will be on the other. However, another added bonus: Sayuri got a brand new wrestling gear. I have to say it was very interesting. A little bit of the kung fu type of element that fits in for Dragon Ninja. Hopefully we get to see Chon and Sayuri team up once again. But the match pretty much went all the way aboard, not to mention a little bit of the comedy with Antonio Honda. But however, it was Antonio Honda who picked up the victory by pinning Tokiko Kihara, giving him and Chon the victory. Now, our main event, we have Chiko Shikawa taking on Sayaka. Now, I've often talked about how Sayaka has grown so much. I have to say, this is one of the best matches I've seen her so far in ChocoPro, because, as you know, she always loses her matches in both tag team and singles. Now, there are times where she wins the tag match, but it's not her who conducts the win, but she's part of the winning team. But Sayaka has always grown so much due to the fact that that basically we see them together, and I think that tells a lot. And I have to say, Sayaka really has grown up so much. I have to say, this is one of the best matches Sayaka's ever been in. But unfortunately, Chiko Shikawa picked up a very strong victory in this match. I was really disappointed because I hope that Sayaka gets her first win. You know, this is nothing compared like Waka Tsukiyama, where the story is like, okay, she's the unsung hero who needs to win. But this is a little different than that. Now, for our Junkin tournament, I wasn't sure how this is going to go, but unfortunately, I was a bit surprised. I talked about Sayaka in her match, but somehow she all the way ended up in the finals. But her opponent is none other than the Big Apple, or as people call her, the Apple Goblin, or I like to call her the little Sly Devil, Mei Shiruga. So she was able to pick up all the way to the finals, but it was in fact Mei Shiruga who won the match. Now, during the post-match, we received a little surprise video chat from none other than Gatoh Move's ChocoPro founder, Emi Sakura, via coming from the States. As you know, they were celebrating the fourth generation third anniversary. Now, those who don't know, what's that supposed to mean? Saruyi, Sayaka, Chiko Shikawa, Tokiko Kirihara, forgot who else was in the whole thing in this fifth generation. I know that oh yeah, Lulu Pencil, we haven't seen her. Oh yeah, and Rinrin, but now Rinrin is with Gleed. But Lulu, we know that she's not, we haven't seen her wrestle for quite some time. So right now it's Saruyi, Tokiko, Chiko Shikawa, and Sayaka. They're the only four members left of the fourth generation celebrate the third anniversary. I have to say it's a very touching moment for them, knowing they got this far. You know, we've seen some success coming from all of them, great moments from them, and I think it tells us a lot that we could see great things coming from them, and not to mention some of them will participate in the upcoming Gatoh Move event next month. So I think that's pretty much it what we got with ChocoPro. I believe it's time for Joshi Pro. Okay, Joshi Pro with their latest event that took place. Um, Go Girl 3. This is a very interesting event. It's only for the women who are in attendance. So basically, no guys were attending this show. So this is all for the women. Nothing wrong with it. But it doesn't mean we cannot enjoy some good ass, kick ass Joshi wrestling matches. Now, first match we have tag team action. Daisy Monkey, consistent of Arisu, Endo, and Zazumi, taking on Haruka Neko and Palm Harajuku. Now, I've always been speaking highly of Daisy Monkey, like they have improved a lot, especially Zazumi, who I've been watching time and time again how she's improved so well. But however, they had to go through a very unique team, the resident cat Haruna Neko, and of course Palm Harajuku, who is a bit of the childish girl that you don't want to mess with. But however, it took Suzumi at least 2 times to pull off the ring a bell, which is a stunner type move, and she did that onto Runa Neko. 1, 2, 3. Daisy Monkey received the W. Our next tag match we have, of course, Julia Nagano teaming up with Moka Miyamoto to take on Mahito Kiru, and of course Nao Kikuta. Now, as you know, normally I see Nao Kikuta team up with Hikari Noa, but I have to say recently we have seen Mahito Kiri with a new attitude recently, because as you know, she picked up a good win for herself and her tag partner Yuki Kamafuku, who we will see later, and she did show a lot of aggressiveness. However, it was Nao Kikuta who picked up the victory on Moka Miyamoto, giving her and Kiru the W. Now, our next match, we have, of course, a singles match. We have Raku taking on the resident superhero, Hyper Misao. Now, you probably would guess. Now, however, Hyper Misao is so fully aware of Raku, of her ability to put people into sleep. Yes, people, you heard me well. Raku knows how to put people into sleep because she sings a little lullaby. However, she begged the fans, please sing so I don't fall asleep. Well, looks like it did happen. Apparently, it did not work in Raku's favor, but apparently she got cold sprayed in the eyes by Hyper Masao. Hyper Masao is not afraid to cut corners, which she's known for, but she did pick up the victory because of her unorthodox ways as a superhero. Next up, we got Yuki Inoue taking on, of course, cutest in the world, Maki Ito. Now, we know Maki Ito has been very impressive, has been on a roll, not only because she's been wrestling with Joshi Pro. We recently seen her on out doing U.S. excursions in recent times. But however, in this time, she actually won by applying a diving DDT onto Yuki Inoue, giving her the W. Next up, we got Hikari Noah. This will be her last match for quite some time until that, because she'll be traveling to the UK to challenge for the International Princess title that's currently held by Alex Windsor in Pro Wrestling Eve. She takes on against one half of the Princess Tag Team Champions, Saki Akai. Now, this is one of those things where, of course, Hikari Noah is no stranger taking on bigger individuals. She did that with Yuki Kamifuku, but however, this time you face someone who's a bit more harder than Kamifuku, and that is Saki Akai. And then, of course, Saki Akai applied a triangle lancer onto Hikari Noah to pick up the victory. Next up, we got Yuki Kamifuku taking on one half of the Princess Tag Champions, Yuki Arai. Now, keep in mind, this is a tag match we definitely want to see. But this time, of course, Yuki Arai is not going to let anything take her down. However, Yuki Kamifuku tried to get into her head, trying to tell her she has no sense of style, no sense of class. But she digged deeper and deeper. Unfortunately, it did not work in her favor until Yuki Kamifuku was able to pick up the victory by a pinfall, so giving her the win. Now, our main event, we have a very interesting 6-person tag match. We got, of course, Miyu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi teaming up with the current Princess champion Shoko Nakajima to take on Miyu Yamashita and the Magical Sugar Rabbits, Mizuki and Yuka Sakazaki. Now, keep in mind, Nakajima is going to be facing against Yuka Sakazaki for the title since she won the Princess Cup tournament. Still unclear when that will take place, but we know it will. I have to say there was a lot of great moments in this particular match. Of course, we've seen a lot of the strength of Miyu Watanabe, who's been on a tear. I know, as you know, we all felt disappointed that she could have won this and had a chance to face against Shoko, but we know she'll pull it off again. She'll have another opportunity when that rises. But unfortunately, it was Shoko Nakajima with the diving senton onto Mizuki that gave her the win. I have to say, pretty good. This sends a clear message to Nakajima, to Yuka Sakazaki, saying, I'll be waiting for you in the battlefield. So it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. Some good matches. I have to say, I rather enjoy everything about it. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe it's time for our last review, NWA 74, Night 2. Okay, Night 2 of NWA 74, one of the biggest events ever. Now, this took place, as you know, the chase as always. Now, our opening match is the 2 out of 3 falls. Caprice Coleman taking on Colby Corino. As you know, it was announced that this was Colby Corino's birthday. Now, the first round went into Caprice Coleman by submission. Second round, once again, whatever that weapon that Colby Corino used all the time gave him the win. However, he took advantage to ensure while Caprice Coleman was knocked out, but the weapon was already out in the open when it was exposed. However, Caprice Coleman was planning to use it on Corino, but the ref tried to tell him no. It cost him dearly when he got pinned for a second time, and this time Colby Corino won, thanks to, of course, the distraction that Caprice put himself in. Next up, we got the first ever NWA USA Tag Team titles. Now, we're going to have 3 different type of tag team titles. We have the normal ones, the NWA World Championship, World Tag Team titles, which currently are being held by La Rebelión, Bestia 666, and of course Mecha Wolf. And of and now we have this. Of course, we cannot forget the NWA Women's Tag Team titles, but this one is all about the United. It's called the NWA United States Tag Team titles. We have teams like the Now, the Misery Faithful, the Spectaculars, the Ill Begotten, the Fixers, Team Ambition, the Country Gentlemen, Gold Rush from us, Idolmania Sports Management, and I forgot what else. Oh yeah, of course we cannot forget. Of course, La Rebellion decided, what the hell, let's go. Oh yeah, and Hawxery and all this and that. But there was a lot of chaos in this particular match. You didn't know how it is, but I wasn't anticipating. Now, many people were voting for since this was in St. Louis, they were in the behind of what's their name, Team Ambition, since they were the locals. But however, it was the Fixers who won the match, becoming the first ever United States Tag Team Champions. So I am like, wow, interesting, but we'll see how that goes. Now we do get another interview, but this time we got whining crybaby Matt Cardona, still pissed off over his loss with Rolando Freeman. Now, he's calling this the St. Louis screw job. But what I did like what Tim Storm was right. Matt Cardona screwed Matt Cardona. Now, the only difference is, unlike what we know about the Montreal screw job, Matt Cardona really did screw himself big time. Not because we say so, because he handpicked his opponent. That's why. He picked Rolando because A, he was short, B, he looked at him that he's a weakling, but he underestimated a guy like him. That's the reason he screwed himself. Now Cardona may not see it that way, but that was his own fault. Now our next match, we have Mercurio taking on a Magic Jack Dumas. Jake Dumas. I don't know exactly what to call this, but there was a moment where, of course, I didn't know what to see. CJ actually distracted Mercurio, but somehow he had a razor in his mouth. I don't know exactly what CJ passed on. The match could have gone in favor of Mercurio, but it did not. It ended with Magic St. Dumas picking up the win, and I thought it was a pretty good one. Now our next match, this is an inter-promotional match. We have the MLW National Openweight title on the line. We have the challenger, Billy Salas, with Boyo Del Mar, taking on the American Wolf himself, Davey Richards. I thought this match was pretty good because Richards was a smaller individual than Billy Salas. It did show a lot of characteristics about him, not backing down from any fight. However, things did not go well for Billy because apparently the hair of Boyo Del Mar kind of messed up, but it did put Billy was put into a sort of like an ankle lock by Davey Richards, giving him the W. He had no other choice but to tap out. So basically, Davey Richards retained his title. Next up, we have Tom. Well, we have Tom Latimer, who is not a happy camper. The night before, he had to confront EC3, who's been, of course, saying all this stuff about the NWA, but he was not going to let this happen, so he will be challenging them in that. And of course, Camille is talked a little bit about her match. She said that she's not going to let Maxine Paler try to take this title from her. So we'll see when we get there. Now our next match is the NWA National Championship. We have Anthony Mayweather versus Zion. Now Anthony Mayweather did help come out to attack Jack Stain because they've been going this rivalry. However, Chris Silvio, Jack Stain, was a manager and an attorney, was able to ensure that Jack Stain gets a rematch. But he was watching this match very carefully. But it was Zion who picked up the win when he applied the Death Valley Driver. He did this on his own without the help of his dad, even though his dad has encouraged him, told him to keep on fighting, and that what makes him different. Now our next match is the NWA Women's Tag Team titles in a King's Highway street fight. This match went all board. The Hex pulled off every trick in the book. They brought tables, trash cans, kendo sticks. Nothing seemed to work in their favor, but somehow Pretty and Power were able to overcome all the odds in their favor. However, it was Allison Kane went through a table, went out, but however, it was of course Kenzie Page that whacked Marty Bell right in the back, giving both ND and Power, Pretty and Power to win and retain the titles. However, they determined to say that they are the true tag team champions. However, the obvious question is who will step up to the throne. That is the real question we will see. So that's pretty much what took place. Now moving on to our next match, we have the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. We have Ricky Morton to take on, of course, Homicide. Now Homicide, once again, being a prick that he's been, playing dirty to ensure he retains this title. He even went vicious onto Ricky Morton until he finally pinned him 1, 2, 3. But whatever Homicide was trying to do, luckily Kerry Morton shows up to give him the helping hand. Now our next match, we have Flip Gordon taking on Nick Aldis. Now this is not the first time these two have come across each other. They have confronted each other before a couple years ago. However, that match ended with Flip losing, but he put up his A game on this particular match. But however, it was Nick Aldis that put him in the Texas Cloverleaf, had no other choice but to tap out. But Aldis gave him all the respect that he deserves, knowing that he was a good challenger. But out of the blue, Odison shows up and attacked Flip Gordon. Nick Aldis tried to confront him, but he got himself beat up by that. It's still unclear what is Odison doing. We don't know what his attitude is, but it's not pretty much good. Our next match is a Missouri Tornado tag team match. We have Aaron Stevens along with Rodney Mack to take on the Pope and Kratos. Now, I have to admit, Pope and Kratos the team up was very unique, unlike other teams. Basically, you look at this, it was like, okay, Kratos wants to get his hands on Stevens, so basically, Pope's like, you can have him, I'll deal with the other guy. But I have to say, it was a pretty good one. One moment that stood out for me is, of course, when Rodney Mack was able to put Pope in the euthanizer, his chokehold. But however, it was Kratos who pulled the feet down of Rodney Mack, giving Pope the opportunity to pin Rodney Mack, giving him the win. I have to say, that was a pretty good combination to win. So I don't know if we will see him more. I say I would like to see Kratos team up with the Pope. That's going to be interesting to see. Now our next match, we have EC3 versus Tom Latimer. I have to say EC3 pulled up every stop, but however, the match ended in a no contest with members of the Control Your Narrative group shows up and attack Latimer. However, we thought that he was going to hurt Tom Latimer, but he said something to his ear. Now, we don't know what's going to be, but you can guarantee that this coming Tuesday, they will be asking questions about that. That is something we definitely will find out. Now, our next interview, we have the Miserably Faithful, who are indeterminate, are saying that soon Maxine Taylor would obtain the one title that they need right now is the NWA Women's title. Now, speaking of that, Camille's mentor, Bully Ray, joins commentary, and now we get to the NWA Women's Championship match. What a match, I have to say. It was awesome. I loved it. The one thing that stood out is, of course, Sal DePello tried to get involved, but he got his ass speared by Camille. But the one thing that was strange, Camille kicked out of the waistline, a move that Maxine Taylor had used countless times, but she kicked out of it. No one's ever kicked out. But unfortunately, there was a roll-up on Maxine Taylor by Camille, allowing her to retain the title. Now, William Patrick Gordon comes out to give a little strong promo saying, next year we will see at the Chase NWA 74, which is good. I have to say it's going to be an annual thing. But he also said that, we need to honor the fallen wrestlers that are no longer there in the NWA. So they ring the 10-bell salute. Now, on to our main event, the NWA World Championship. We have Tyrus versus Trevor Murdoch. This was a hard-hitting match. Basically, Tyrus is determined to become 2 belts in this particular story. But however, the one thing that was shocking is Tyrus applying his move, the heart punch. He thought it was over, but Murdoch was able to kick out. It showed that he was determined. But Tyrus and Black G's, they cannot understand how that happened. But however, Murdoch was about to cross the line, but he did not do it. He did not use the belt onto Tyrus. Even Tyrus did the same thing. It did not work. However, the match ended. It only took 2 bulldogs by Trevor Murdoch to pick up the win to retain the title. I have to say, what a match. It showed Trevor Murdoch is truly a fighting champion. And of course, since this was in St. Louis, he was the hero of the day. So I think that's pretty much it, what we got with the NWA. I believe it's time to do our final thing, which is news updates. Okay, here are some news updates. As you know, I've been mentioning about the GCW stuff. Is now been told that Nick Wayne will also be participating in the GCW Japan events all 3 days. I'm excited. This is going to be a good thing for Nick Wayne, for him to go to Japan. Next up, Luke Hawx of Hawxery has announced that his wrestling promotion, Wildcat Sports, are teaming up with the NWA because they will be doing the biggest independent wrestling show ever in Louisiana, which of course hard times will be taking place there very soon, and there will be a 2-day pay-per-view event for this event. So it's called the Wildcat Revolution Rumble 11 year. There will be, not only that, there will be tapings there too for hard times, from my understanding. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Hopefully I can get to see it. Now, Wrestling Revolver has announced for their upcoming event taking place later on in September. We have for the event called Tales from the Ring that will take place on the 17th of September. We're going to have Swerve in Our Glory, Swerve Strickland, and Keith Lee to take on the crew consistent of Rich Swann and Matthew Palmer. Now, keep in mind, if you remember, it was Swerve Strickland that betrayed the crew, and now he's not coming alone. He's bringing his buddy Keith Lee. Now, this is going to be a very interesting thing to watch. Now, recently, today, as you know, there was a freelance match called CMLL Ladies Ring. Basically, it was produced by some of the women from the Consejo Mundial Lucha Libre promotion. They set up a little tournament, and they, of course, Tai Hamna won the match. She won 3 matches, but her final match was against Colors' Hikari Shimizu. But Hamna did mention that she is deciding to go to Mexico. I'm very excited for her. Hopefully I get to see some clips of her down in Mexico, but it's going to be fun. Now, it's already been announced, as you know, there's going to be New Blood 5 taking place on the 19th of October. And this time it's going to be in Shinjuku Sumitomo Hall in Tokyo. It's still unclear what the card is, but we do know that Hana did say that she wants to have the future belt on the line on that particular day against Ami Sourei, and hopefully we get to see that. It's still unclear what other matches. Even Starlight Kid is talking about Umasaki. We don't know yet what else is going to take place. Now, our last update here, this was coming from Tokyo Sports. As you know, we have the historic X over between New Japan and Stardom. Apparently, there's been talk about the mixed tag match that we have been talking about. Desperado made some valid points. Are men going to be allowed to put their hands on the women? Well, it turns out it's not going to happen. That it's going to be just a straight up mixed tag match. But however, Julie disagreed with it, saying that she wants to put her hands on a man. She said she wants to slap and give the elbow to Tom Lawler to make him cry like a little girl. Now, apparently she wants this match to be more of an intergender. Now, we don't know exactly what's the full extent what New Japan and Stardom are trying to do. I'm sure they're going to set up some boundaries. But that's what I've been hearing. Julia wants this to be an intergender match, not where she just puts her hands on, Sudi, and that's it. She wants to put her hands on men too. So she thinks this rule is ridiculous. Now, I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Is Julia right? Should they allow men and women to put their hands on each other? Well, we don't know. Me, I'm not sure because I have seen maybe a small percentage of women that have done it, but we just don't know if there are those who are willing to go that far. But we'll see what happens in the future. I will stay on top of this as much as possible. But I think that's pretty much it what we got today. I say let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have, of course, AEW Dark Elevation, but I'm also going to be reviewing the latest House of Glory event, High Intensity 5, which features now Michi Marufuji taking on Eddie Kingston. I'm excited for this and hopefully everybody else. But if there's anything else coming in, hopefully I get to see the Stardom latest events with, of course, continue on with the 5-star Grand Prix or the Pro Wrestling Noah N1 Victory events as well. It's still unclear if those are going to still come up, but if we do, I'll get to review those as well. So I think that's pretty much it what we got for today. I believe it's time for me to say it's time. I'll see you guys in the next BWZ time. Same BWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.